In Mark 2:12, we see the word of God in action. When God talks, when God speaks, things come to be. Let's jump into it. Mark 2:12, let's read. Kai egerce, kai euthus, aras ton krabaton, exelsen, emprosen panton. Hoste existas sai pantas, kai doxazein thon theon, legontas, oti, hutos, udepote, eidomen. So the verse is quite long, and it starts with a conjunction, kai, where we know it's coordinating conjunction, and he's talking about the paralytics. So Jesus has just told the paralytic to get up, pick up his mat, and go away. And that's exactly what he does. So these are the three verbs. Egerze, verb one. Then there's another kai, conjunction. And then there is another verb here, exelsen, which is verb two. And then the verb three, which is the third action. Uh, well, this is the third action actually. So verb three, I would say. Verb two is right here. So the second action. So egerse is the first action. Ares is the second. Excelsen is the third. The only thing is that um, Mark doesn't use them in the same way because we're going to see this is actually a participle. So instead of saying, and he did A, and he did B, and he did C, he switches up a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting. Okay. Then you have this euthus, which is just an adverb that it's typical of Mark. We've seen it so many times. It means immediately, right away. And then you have this object, direct object here, which is connected to verb two. Okay. And then you have this prepositional phrase where you have ampersand, which is a preposition. And then you have this panton, which is a genitive. You see the ending on, genitive masculine plural, which is held by the preposition. So this ampersand wants the genitive after it. So this panton is the object of the preposition. All right. And then you have this second clause. So this is the main sentence, the principal, right, sentence. And then you have this clause that is introduced by this preposition. Okay. And the verbs are two. So it's this existas. So this is the, let's call it clause verb number one. And then you have doxazein, which is the clause verb number two, connected by the end, the kai. And the spantas is the direct object related to the first verb in the clause, and ton theon is the object connected to the second verb in the clause. All right. And then to finish, we have this participle here. Okay. This participle here that, as you see the ending in as, which is in this case indicates a masculine plural um, in the accusative case, are connected. So this participle connects to this pantas and concludes the sentence, the verb. The verb lego means to say. So here we have a direct speech of what the people were saying. Okay, and this hoti is just a preposition that we can completely ignore and replace with a sort of either a comma or a column like that. It's just an introduction of what people were saying. So actually, the quotation mark, we should put it here. So what is just the introduction, introduces the direct speech. And these three words is what the people were saying. And this is the verb. So this eidomen, this is the verb of the people, what the people saw. And then you have two adverbs here. So adverb number one and adverb number two here. All right. So we're ready to translate. So let's start from the main sentence that has, we said, three verbs. So egerce, which are, so egerce, aras, and exelsen. So these are the three verbs that Jesus uses in Mark 2:11. So Mark uses the same verbs to reflect exactly what Jesus said. So Jesus said, number one, get up, and egerse, he got up. So this is in the aorist tense. Okay, he got up. So third person singular in the aorist. So he got up, and euthus, immediately. Now I mentioned that here Mark decides to switch up a little bit. So instead of saying he got up, he took the mat and went away, he says, and he got up and immediately, and then he uses this aorist, which is an aorist but a participle. Okay, participle, masculine singular, because it refers to the paralytic. We could translate after picking up. Okay, after picking up, and immediately after picking up ton krabaton. So this is the accusative case in the masculine singular with this on ending. The mat, ton krabaton, the mat, picking up the mat. Exelsen, which is again the aorist, now again in the indicative as egerse. Okay, in the third person singular, because it's always referring to the paralytic, which comes from the verb exerkomai. So there is the preposition ek or ex, which means out of, and the verb erkomai, which in the aorist is irregular, it goes as elsen, which means to go. Okay, so the verb exerkomai means to go out of, to exit, to get out. Okay, so we could translate, and he got up, and immediately after picking up the mat, he left, or he walked out, or he got out. Okay, ampersand panton. So we already mentioned that this ampersand is a preposition. Is a preposition actually made up of two prepositions, en and prosen. So am or en means in, and prosen means front. Okay, in front of the face of the people. So literally, ampersand means in front of, in front of. And panton is the genitive, masculine plural. So in this ending omega nu, that it's needed by the preposition ampersand. So ampersand was the genitive after it, and it literally means in front of. Panton. Panton means all, in front of all, in front of them all. Okay, so the main sentence reads like, and he got up, and immediately after picking up the mat, he walked out in front of them all. Hoste. Hoste is a preposition that we could translate with so that. Is a preposition that introduces a clause that explains the consequence of something. Okay, so that, and it wants the infinitive. You see here this ending psi and ein. These are two example of infinitive. Okay, infinitive. And the only difference is that this ending is because this is in the middle voice, while here is in the active voice. Because the first verb existasai comes from the verb ex istemi, okay, as istemi. Okay, so the verb existemi comes from well, it has a preposition ex, which we know means out of. Okay, and the verb istemi means to be, to stand. Okay, to stand, right? And so literally this means to be out. Okay, or to be out of your mind, right? So literally what Mark is telling us is that when people saw the paralytic getting up, picking up his mat and walk away in front of them, they just went wild. They got out of themselves, out of their mind. They were so excited. Okay, so that pantas, and you see the infinitive construct where the subject of the infinitive form is actually in the accusative case. Okay, this is typical. Okay, when you have an infinitive clause, the verb is in the infinitive and the subject, not the object, the subject is in the accusative. You see this ending as is in the accusative, but it's actually the subject of the clause. So that pantas all were out of their mind, kai, and doxazein comes from the verb doxazo. Okay, doxazo, which has this root doxa, which means, um, it's a praise. Okay, it's praise, it's glory. Okay, so doxazo means to glorify. So they were out of their mind and they were glorifying theon, so God. This is God, right? In the accusative. Okay, the article indicates that is the one true God, right? So in this accusative masculine singular, they were glorifying God, legontas. So this is a participle. As we said, it goes back and it connects with pantas. You see the ending as. So this ending ontas in the participle indicates again an accusative case in the masculine plural, okay, because it refers to all of them that were there. And the verb lego means to say. Okay, we saw it so many times, to say. Okay, so they were out of their mind and they were glorifying God, saying, and then we already saw that this whole thing we can completely ignore it. It's a sort of comma or column introduces the quotation, and they were saying what? Saying what? Eidomen. So the verb is eidomen. You see this ending, men, indicates the first person plural. So we. They're talking in the plural. We, and the verb is oral. Okay, the verb oral um, is the verb for seeing, and it's in the case in this aorist tense. It's obviously irregular. You see how different the base verb oral is from the aorist eidomen, but the verb is to see. So it literally it means we have seen. Okay, but there is this negative in front. We said it's an adverb. U indicates a negation. Okay, and in fact, this adverb means never. So it means we've never seen. Okay, we've never seen hutus. Hutus is another adverb that means something like this. Okay, we've never seen such things. We've never seen like this. We've never seen anything like this. All right. So let's put it all together. And he, meaning the paralytic, got up and immediately, after picking up the mat, he walked out in front of them all, so that all were out of their mind and they were praising God, saying, "We have never seen anything like this."